It is Friday night, and you are here with us at the Ultimate Schmodown Show. We are back to break down a spooky horror free-for-all that had a lot of twists and turns. But joining me is someone we have not seen in quite a while, it feels like. Mr. John Barr, welcome back. How's it going, buddy?
Hello. Thank you. I'm doing well. As you can tell by my appearance, I'm having a very normal one. Just kind of the same old guy, doing the same old stuff. Quarantine has not broken me yet. I'm still having a very good, normal human time in the human world. And it has been, I guess, 2 weeks now, because I was not able to join the Nerd Chronic episode, unfortunately. But I'm excited to be back for this one. And there's a fly that is fully just circling my face.
I hate him.
So that's going to be a fun Easter egg, I guess. Is every time I go like, know that it's not spooky spirits of competitors past. Ooh.
Ooh, well, one of those competitors, might be one day our boy Boggs. How's it going, Boggs?
Well, yeah, not yet. I don't know about that. But yeah, good, man. I mean, yourself and I have been recording a lot this week on like 3 different channels, different platforms. So it's been fun.
Oh, don't spoil anything.
Oh, well, I'm just, well, I won't say where, but, but yeah, it's been a bit of fun living that YouTube lifestyle. But yeah, obviously just watched the Horror Free4All, and I don't know about player, man, because, we had some matches, recorded some fan league matches, didn't go so well. So not spoilers, but not for me anyway.
I mean, I don't know what else you could derive from that, but let's see how, this was. I honestly didn't even know this was happening at a certain time today. So I thought this was happening at 5 o'clock today. So let's see, what the overall reaction to this is, because I was on 2 out of the 3 of us thought this was happening at a different time. One of us, John Barr, was on the ball, and I just so happened to be flipping through Facebook and saw that Christian posted it in the Schmodown group. So let's see.
Yeah,
it was just interesting.
I don't know if maybe there was like a post that I didn't see that was like, oh, it's going to air on the Schmodown channel at 5. And I'm sure it will make its way over to the Schmodown channel at some point down the line. But for anyone watching who didn't know, the Horror Free4All was part of the Skybound Halloween Expo that was happening today. Once again, hosted by the phenomenal Hector Navarro and Danny Fernandez. And the Horror Free4All was part of that, I believe, the closing event for today. Aired right before 2 o'clock and was an absolute delight. And I didn't know that you guys didn't know that it was happening at 2 times. And that one's on me. That one's on me. But we all did wind up seeing it, and we're going to be talking about it. And if you're waiting for it to drop on the Schmodown channel before you watch it, that makes sense. But then get out of here. Get on out, because we're going to be talking about what happens and who's in it and who does good.
But if you are here and you haven't watched it, like this video, and then it'll be easier to find. And drop a comment on who you think is going to win the match if you haven't watched it yet. And let's go ahead and see, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I love this thing, not for the questions, but because I got to hear so many different people introed. That was one of the things I did not realize how much I was going to love, was hearing all the different themes, and just now people are getting unique themes within some of these factions. And it's just, I didn't think I was going to have a good time, because I'm not a horror guy. Horror movies scare the bejesus out of me. I think I got 2 questions right. One of them was The Grudge. And so it's just not my wheelhouse. So I just had a good job. I just had a good time, kind of feeling, kind of trying to predict who was going to win each round, I guess, was kind of my enjoyment around it. And I mean, if you picked one horse each time, you were pretty much right. John, were you thoroughly entertained on a scale of 1 to yes?
Yeah, absolutely. I also didn't really try playing along that hard, because I knew I'd absolutely biff it. The only question that really stuck with me in my head was the one about whatever Robert Rodriguez movie, which MCU actor was in it. And I remember that because I just had to guess and I guessed correctly just by trying to do some critical thinking. So this was definitely a match where I knew that my own personal knowledge of the subject matter was going to be severely lacking. But it was very exciting because obviously we didn't get a lot teased as far as who was actually going to be in this thing, besides, you know, the Incredible Nerd Chronic promo package that included just a whole heck of a lot of Schmoedown competitors without any clear. And that's always the fun thing about the free-for-alls generally, is that it's just a whole bunch of different people that get tossed into this thing, and we never really know what to expect, so it makes it very hard to predict. But there were certain people that once we knew they were in it, it was kind of hard to not be like, oh, this is theirs. And I don't know if we want to talk about that just yet. But this was...
I think one conversation we can have before we get into is who did not show up. I think we can go ahead and get through the big surprise drop by Christian at the end. And I barely even noticed, just because the level of play was so high the entire time, was William, the Beast, Bibiani. One of the... I mean... The dude has some of the best horror entrances in the entire Schmoedown. Obviously, big names like Clark Wolf, some other horror heads not showing up. Big surprise to you, Boggs, that Bibiani, and I guess that's a quirky Mercs decision because they put forth Tim Franco and Scary Perry. Tim very, very well. Perry, not so much. But your thoughts on Bibbs not participating today?
Yeah, I don't know. I was a bit confused, really, because, you know, not only is he a horror guy, but he's a free-for-all, you know, one of the best free-for-all players kind of we've ever seen. So, yeah, a bit surprised, but I don't know, maybe because it was a smaller tournament, maybe it didn't interest him as much. I don't know, but I didn't see the Christian interview afterwards, so I don't know the exact reason. But yeah, I was definitely surprised because he's probably the first player that comes to my head when I think of horror. So a bit surprised, but yeah, overall, I mean, there were other surprises as well, I thought. Obviously, we can get to that later, but yeah, he was the biggest omission, without a doubt.
So, I mean, John, it just doesn't feel right sometimes when some of these competitors that you feel should be there aren't there. Sometimes it kind of feels like in a, you know, like a big player goes out in a golf tournament or a tennis, or, you know, everybody's expecting somebody to be there and you don't have to play that person to get to the top. You know, they kind of cancel themselves out. I mean, does this kind of, if you won, do you feel like, I didn't really have to go through all that this league has to throw at me?
Yeah, I think that's certainly part of it. Obviously, this is a little bit of a lower stakes thing than, say, any of the just general championships with title belts. This is kind of more in line with that horror just exhibition match that they did on Patreon. But the way I'm looking at this is more just kind of a testing ground for all of the managers to try and just throw some things at the wall as far as their competitors. I mean, for example, you know, if you want to talk meta, you know, beyond kind of what we see on screen, William the Beast Bibiani was probably not in it just because the schedule couldn't work out. That happens. Sometimes we don't all have 2 hours in a day to set aside to answer horror movie questions. But if you then want to kind of look a little bit more critically and say, okay, maybe that's why William's not in this, so why are Tim and Perry in this? Think about the fact that, well, you know, if Coy's able to keep 3 people from his faction, almost certainly going to be keeping the kid Brendan Meyer and William the Beast Bibiani. 2 other players that have had some good performances overall in this season, but maybe haven't been as tested, are Tim Franco and Perry Nemiroff. So you put them in this tournament just to say, hey, who can possibly win me some points? Who can possibly play well in something beyond just singles, because I've got a pretty good handle on singles with Brendan and William. You know, it's one of those things where I think Coy was just kind of like, all right, who's left? Who do I have? I got to start making some decisions soon, so who does it seem like can help me outside of just the singles verse? And I think that's probably what was going through a lot of managers' minds generally, aside from the few that were like, oh, no, I have Mark Edward Hoyk, so he's going in this, please and thank you.
Right, and to your point, Perry probably had the lead on the 2 of them going into today. And spoiler, she survives 1 round, and Tim goes for good 4 or 5 rounds and performs phenomenally coming in. And so, I mean, making the decision that much tougher for Coy and putting more pressure on Perry to perform with the Witching Hour in the teams tournament coming up. But at least you know where you stand. I think that's a good thing to know. I mean, there are no guessing games. Perry, I feel like now, at least I would if I was her, put myself in like, I have to play better in order to be retained, or at least put myself in a position to be considered as a high draft pick next year, because that's also a thing that these players have to. Some of these players are going to have to separate themselves from their faction as we get towards the end of the season and start thinking like, how can I get on the screen? I mean, start lobbying yourself, because the best ability is availability. And if you're able to play, I mean, that's what teams need right now. And that's what you keep seeing. Paul Oyama showed up. I never knew. I don't think Paul considers himself a horror expert, but he's a movie expert. So Boggs, I think we saw a lot of that today. We saw a lot of just overall great players who took a stab at something. Players like Jeff Snyder, players like Paul Oyama, Ethan Irwin, players who are not normally, out here saying I love horror. They're not a horror podcast. But is that what you expected to see today?
A little bit. Yeah, I knew there'd be kind of some players who were not maybe outwardly as kind of outspoken in the horror category, maybe someone like a Cyborg, like you said, Tim Franco, even Collins. Like, I didn't know he was particularly strong in horror, but it's we've had a lot of JT, you're doing great. So yeah, I mean, overall, I as well, like you're saying, people are going to now start trying to pitch for next season. Obviously only 3 getting kept. Some people haven't played or hardly played. So yeah, you need to kind of get yourself out there as much as you can. So yeah, definitely.
Also, not to, summon another fist fight between Colin and Alex Mack, kind of summoning her onto the show. But were any Underworld questions asked? And how did that make you feel, Colin?
No, I don't think they were, right?
I don't think there were either. And I was wondering if Colin was like...
Zilch. Not a single frickin' one.
Yeah.
Recognition.
Is Bill Nighy in an Underworld movie?
Wait, what?
I think
is Bill Nighy? Because that's the only one.
He's the dude. He's like the main.
He's the dude.
Yeah, he's like the main vampire dude. He's like.
That's all I know about Underworld. Is Mila Jovovich.
I
Bill
love
Nighy,
the practical werewolves. The Lycan are lit.
Sure.
Some of those movies look fantastic. I like. In no way am I not saying that sometimes those movies are like are not good movies. I just I was able to watch them, so I just put them in like the fantasy genre. Like if I don't know, I guess you could, if you think that The Witcher is horror, you're gonna argue to me that Underworld is horror. But like I can watch both of those things, so therefore I don't consider them horror because I'm a little bitch and I can't watch scary things.
And what's the name of the guy who played Jorah Mormont? Because he's in that too, right? He's in a couple of them.
Ian
Glenn? No.
Ian Glenn. Yeah.
Is that what his name is?
Yep,
okay. This is what I know about. See, this is why I could never probably play in the Schmodown. Is because really all I have are just like the faintest details in the back of my mind of like trailers I've seen. And then of course the entirety of the movie G-Force by heart.
Right. So shall I give you a fun fact about a horror film?
Go for it.
You know The Haunting? Starring Catherine Zeta-Jones, Liam Neeson, Owen Wilson. So the start of that movie, it starts in a like apartment complex, like from a crane shot, and it zooms in. So I was born in that complex. So it was filmed in London, in the UK. Not born in there, but I lived there till I was 5. Obviously the film's set in the States, but that scene was shot in London, and that's of my building that I was living at till I was 5. Wow. And I was out at the time, like with my mum and dad or whatever. But my uncles said, who kind of lived in the same complex, they said, "Oh yeah, there was filming going on that day. That people had barriers on and things like that." So if you ever watch The Haunting, the start of that movie, that was my building that I lived at.
More like The Haunting of Boggs Manor, am I right? Huh?
And I didn't know. I watched the movie and I was like, "Oh, what the hell is that?" And then I quickly rang my uncles, who lived there. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, was someone filming a movie like 6 months ago?" And they were like, "Yeah, they were. Yeah, they're there for a couple of days and stuff." I was like, "What the hell?" Yeah, so super weird seeing your old house on an opening of a movie when you're in the cinema with your friends, and you're trying to tell your friends, and they're like, "Shut the hell up! What are you talking about?"
Oh so, yeah, the number of like Philly locations I recognized from The Sixth Sense, always a treat. Always a treat.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
for
so
me
about
now
the
it's San
match, huh?
Francisco.
Should we
Yeah, for
start
me now
talking-
it's San Francisco. See, I knew that's what today was gonna be. It was gonna be really hard to talk about. More free for alls are this one in particular because it was 18 competitors, not the usual. How many we had in live free for alls?
36, right?
Yeah,
36,
double, right?
40, like a lot of people. So overall, this was one of the smaller specials that we've had.
Yeah.
I was still supremely entertained. And I guess we just got to talk about it. Adam Collins is the MVP of the league right now. And he's got secure hold on it until somebody takes it from him. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a betting favorite against Dan Merle at this point going into Spectacular. If there's some people that are going to be talking like that, and right now I'm not one of them, but we might see them play twice before the year is over. We might see Founding Fathers play against Deception again. Sorry.
No, I'm not. This was not about you. This was about their team name. I mean,
okay.
Marisol and Adam, great team. The team name, come on now. I am still lobbying for them to change their name to Coyote Justice.
I like that.
I'll fly that flag till the day I die. Okay, tomorrow.
So let's just. I mean, could you guys imagine we see Founding Fathers versus Deception, and then you see round 2 with Spectacular? It'd be absolutely unreal.
I mean, listen. Along with Spectacular, we also have the Schmodown Awards coming up. And if Adam Collins wasn't a front runner for the majority of awards in, your fantasy draft of the nominations at this point, then he certainly should be one now. Because I'm looking at Rookie of the Year. I'm looking at Singles Player of the Year. I'm looking at Player of the Year right now for Adam Collins.
He's clearly the MVP, Boggs.
Yeah, I think... Yes, he's up there, but I haven't seen any silverware yet this season. Of all
he
the
won
good
a
work
tournament.
He won a
tournament,
but it's not a belt. A belt is a champion.
That gets mentioned before you get entered. If he gets mentioned,
no, it's a great feat. I'm not
disputing
disputing that, but I'm saying the best of the best will win a belt. You have to take that title off a champion, for me anyway, to be considered a true great. Like, you're obviously a good player. Of course, you're one of the best players of the year. You're gonna be top in a nomination of any kind of category that you're in, but still no silverware. You're still not a champion. Obviously a tournament champion, yeah, but I'm talking of your division
and a free for all.
Yeah, he's knocking on the door. He's knocking on the door. But for me, for example, I would still put
the door's open.
Personally,
he's standing at the door. The door is open. The pizza's in his hands, and he's trying to serve it to Dan Merle.
Yeah, he's up there. I'd put him with Chance, Dan Morrow, these guys. But for me, I'd personally still put Chance there because he has won a belt this year, and he's obviously won a tournament. Yes, he's won. Collins won 2 tournaments, but we are splitting hairs, obviously. But for me, that just puts the cherry on the cake if you actually win a belt, if you beat a champion, that kind of thing. So.
I'll just talk about pizza and cake. My goodness, if I hadn't ordered a cheesesteak to come to my door immediately after the show is done, let me tell you, I'd have quite a few more items being delivered to my home. But we should start probably talking a little, not the producer in me is like, hey, boys, this is a Schmodown podcast. Let's make sure we talk a little bit about some of the individual factions. Because I think, there's a couple different factions that had some really strong spots during this event. A couple factions that didn't do super great. Again, probably just because of the caliber of competitors that they have that are specifically horror-focused. Boggs, like you were talking about, there are certain competitors that are in this that we never would have thought. But there's definitely one faction that was kind of killing it in this event, and it's kind of a faction that's been killing it generally, and that makes sense because killing is a word that starts with a K.
That'd be Corruption, and Adam Collins and Hoyt just tore the floor for rounds on rounds. I mean, Adam was the second person added after the initial 4 competitors, number 6.
6, yeah.
I mean, that's some Bibiani stuff right there. They're gonna that's where legends grow from. 2 seasons from now, when Adam Collins is a 2-3-time champion, and everyone's like, Boggs gonna be like, man, Yeah, I'm call you out, Boggs. You were like, well, I don't see it yet. I need to see it, and then he's gonna run it like a month from now, and you're gonna be like, oh, geez. But what if he beats them? What if he beats the Founding Fathers? If he beats the Founding Fathers, is that?
I mean, if he wins a team tournament as well, I mean,
as a singles tournament in the same year?
On the free for all, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to deny that.
That's some Rafael Nadal stuff right there. That's Roger Federer. Like that's a tear. Like we just don't see that.
Yeah,
it's dexterity. He's got schmodown dexterity, and Hoyt was perfect for like 28 questions. Like that was just unbelievable.
Great.
And what was he at Starbucks? He was like outside at a restaurant getting that LA Wi-Fi. I was like, yes, sir. Just
with his mask on in the corner or something.
Oh my god. I mean, he was just nothing but right answers. And I just think that's like Shannon has to, it makes those decisions harder, John. It makes everything harder.
Yeah. I mean, both Mark Edward Hoyk and Adam Collins would make good sorcerers in D&D because they got those high intelligence and dexterity checks.
Oh boy.
I mean, no, not sorcerer, because sorcerer would be more charisma based,
right?
I think. I'm a nerd. That doesn't matter. Absolutely, Corruption did a fantastic job. It was one of those things where, it was interesting, too, that they did kind of set up at the top of the match that there were two different avenues for which one could get points. That being the actual winner, which gets 3 points, and then the MVP, which gets 1 point. I thought that made a lot of sense, especially because this is not a proper free-for-all, so it didn't really make sense to be handing out belt title matches.
Yeah,
title shots. Unless, of course, because I think, is there a horror belt? Because then maybe, no, there's not.
No horror belt.
I couldn't remember.
We just had a couple of Patreon exhibition matches.
Yeah, because I know that there's like a Jurassic Park championship.
There's a Rocky one as well, I think.
Oh, yeah? Look, there's a whole lot of belts. I don't know. I only own one because I'm a straight white male and I don't care enough about my closet.
Oh, boy.
But that's a big dunk on me. Yeah, definitely Corruption was the star of the show. It was one of those things where there are a couple other competitors that I thought had a shot at MVP, if not winner. That was, of course, Whitney Seibold from the Burning Droogs, a faction that, let's be honest, could really use the points.
He would have had to have outlasted Mark,
yeah.
I think, to get the MVP. But I think if he would have ddone that, I think it would have made a damn good argument, and it would have been really hard, which it's kind of like, man, when the quarterback throws all the touchdowns, but the one dude caught all the touchdowns, who do you give the MVP to? Like, was the catch harder? Was the throw harder? Like, well, we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
Like,
and let's not forget, Whitney was there
Adam
up
was
until that final match. He was the first one to get eliminated and make it no longer a 4-person match.
Right.
He was the one, like, holder on between the two Corruption boys. And then JTE, we've talked a little bit about it. He's back. It finally happened in a horror free-for-all. Who would have thought, right? That's I did not see that coming. I'll be honest. I'd kind of thought JT, yeah, he's just goodbye gone, and then he comes back for this. I mean, what a treat, Colin. It's like you were saying, there were some folks in this that we did not expect seeing, but what a delight to see JTE come in for this event.
I know Boggs knows how excited I was to hear that song. That song is my jam. When they come into, I just see Jeff running with like ripping a shirt, like teeth in a beer. Like
I just thought it was gonna be Liam Neeson. I thought it was gonna be either Liam Neeson, John C. Reilly,
Evangeline Lilly. We even got like an all-time Josh Tapia mess up on the call. I can't even get out Evangeline Lilly.
Even asked for JT, right?
There were no JTs.
Yeah, but he asked, right?
He did ask.
Yeah, he asked.
The only one to ask.
And then he didn't really have like a reaction to the Jericho thing. Because I mean, I don't even know if he watched that. Because
he did. I saw him on. He was on Outlaw Nation with John Roker.
Oh, he was talking about it. Okay.
Yeah. He was like, they're better now. Funny enough, actually, like he's been wanting to play all year, or he's been available to play. It's just due to circumstances. Yeah, either Roxy wasn't able to pick him at the start of the season. She obviously transferred him, But he said up until that interview, he's not spoke to Ken all season, which was a bit weird. But he says, I want to play, but no one's been in touch. So yeah, hopefully we'll see him a lot more at the end of the season, because the guy can play, man. He's still got it. Yeah, I like. He was the most surprising one for me to see. Yeah, I just feel like I get the same thing when I hear the music. You know, the guy's definitely got that kind of original.
And he's better after he gets punched.
Yeah,
he's way better.
I saw a bit of passion as well when he come in.
Like,
yeah,
he misses 2 questions.
Points proof.
He misses 2 questions and he just like gets on a tear. and he feels it again. He kind of you kind of saw it a couple of times where he was kind of, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. It was kind of cool, but they're asking horror questions, and that's obviously he was suited in, like, he's in his late 30s now. I think he, you know, yeah, or like that's, you know, they're just some, like, we all just have blind spots, and like, just due to our age, we all have blind spots in certain movies, and it just hit him a couple times. But he played great. He came into the killer's den. Like, those 3 were, I mean, they knocked out some of the heaviest hitters in the Schmodown. I mean, they knocked out Snyder, they knocked out Oyama, they knocked out Perry. Like, they were just on a tear.
Yeah, well, and I was kind of curious. I wanted to also ask you guys this, because we've talked a little bit about the people that we were excited to see, the people that we weren't sure were going to do well. Was there anyone that you were particularly surprised by how not well they did? Because I'll say, you know, I was not particularly surprised that Ethan Irwin, you know, horror's not necessarily his bag. That's okay. I was a little bit surprised about both Mark Riley and Video Drill, because I kind of had expected them to go on a tear similar to that of Whitney Seibold, where it's like they've all been horror people. I was kind of like, oh yeah, this is going to be their bag. This is going to kind of be the moment where they can shine. And unfortunately, as we love Video Drew on this show, certainly not going to say any trash about Video Drew other than she did not do as well as I thought she would do in this event.
It was a weird time to come in. I think every player you just mentioned came in while these three dudes are like on fire. Like, it's very hard to just get like if you're in a football soccer match, or if you're in a basketball game and you get subbed in and you're the only person who gets subbed in and everybody else has been playing the game, you are at a different speed from everybody else.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's really hard to just come. 5 questions determines your fate first coming in. I think that's another thing of more competitors, I think, kind of would have, you know, made it a little bit more exciting. But yeah, the questions that Video Drew got were not your like average, ordinary horror questions. There was a very weird.
That's a good thing to bring up.
It was a very weird set of 5. Mark tripped his own brain up a couple times.
I would say the Barbarian as well. I was a bit surprised at him.
That was a tough first group too. Yeah, he was in a tough first group.
Yeah, there were tough questions as well. I do remember that. But yeah, I just thought he'd go a little bit further. You know, he went out first round. So I'd add him. Well, basically the Finstop boys, I'd say. Yeah, I was particularly shocked with.
Yeah,
it's hard to kind of miss. I haven't really seen. This is a situation where you cannot miss. Like and if you do, you are behind, and it's not you can't do anything to come back. There's nothing in your power to come back. You can't steal a question somebody misses. Everything is in your hands, and that's a hard situation for some of these people to be in, especially when you just have to go 5 for 5 or 4 for 5 to survive. And you know, sometimes you go 0 for 5.
Yeah. First off, shout outs to Leo Logan in the chat, bringing up, besides Bibiani, who are you surprised didn't come in? I say Tom for the Den, and I was actually just about to bring up the Den, Leo. So I think it's very interesting that you bring that up, because you know, again, talking a little bit meta, talking a little bit inside baseball. Tom is not the guy, again, for the longer kind of events. I think Tom is very much the kind of guy where he's like, yeah, I'll hop in, do a match, have a good time. Not necessarily the kind of guy that's like, yeah, I want to set aside 2 hours to be able to do some hard, like, you know, that's one of those things. And again, that's obviously a little bit more meta than we talk about here. I did want to talk a little bit about Paul Preston, though, because Paul Preston was a guy I was not expecting to see, and he did quite well. And so I was very happy to see that. I was also a little bit surprised that the dungeon didn't put in Eric Zipper, and that's partially just because of the people now that the dungeon has left. Eric Zipper is one of the people that Kaiser has not only been investing a lot of his time and energy into, but someone that has truly benefited from that. And again, since we saw Eric get put in both the singles tournament and the Inner Geekdom tournament, I was just kind of like, yeah, well, this is kind of the dungeon's main guy. So I was a little bit surprised that they put in Vinny Mancuso instead of Eric Zipper, because I think obviously with Video Drew being one of the horror icons of the Schmodown, regardless of how she did in this event, she's still one of the horror icons. I was surprised that they put Vinny in instead of maybe Eric Zipper. But also Vinny, like, he did not go super far, but I believe he lasted a couple rounds.
He lasted 3 rounds. He went from first to last. I think that he kind of rode a crest of a wave and then crashed very quickly.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those things where I think he nailed 4 out of 5 questions, and then he missed all the questions in the next round, or only got 1 and just fell behind. And it's just one of those things. Fall behind, you get out. And I think the best flip we saw of the day was Adam Collins came in and flipped everyone off the table. That was pretty sick. Like that's one of the best things you can see in one of these free-for-alls, is when one person knocks everybody out due to one person missing a question, or 2 people missing a question and one person making a question. Or that was sick. And then I loved, one of my favorite exits of the day was when Paul Oyama takes Ethan out. I thought that was fantastic. And Christian also mentioning, when are we ever going to see those 2 play? Wouldn't that be a fantastic singles match?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 2 players of Asian descent as well, which would be really cool, which we haven't seen. But yeah, I think, thinking about it more and more, I think I have a feeling that maybe some players were missing because I believe this was speaking to Nerd Chronic as well. I'm sure he said it was was it last week before? I'm sure he said it was filmed 2 weeks before that. So I think this coincided with the Shazam corruption match and the teams tournament being filmed. So I think like a lot of them players are busy with that, or maybe studying, or got matches coming, or want to prioritize that. So these were for everyone else, or anyone else that kind of wanted to play, or who were maybe being knocked out, that kind of thing. So I think maybe that explains maybe why not Zipper. Maybe not Bibbs. Well, obviously Bibbs is not playing, but maybe that was straight. Maybe this was like the Saturday after the teams match, so maybe something like that. But yeah, that was probably my best moment, because at first I didn't know what Ayama was talking about when he's like, "Oh, sorry." Thing. It took me like a couple of seconds to work out. I was like, "Oh, okay." And yeah, my probably best moment, honestly, was JT's coming in, and Christian seemed like excited to see him, almost like with the music and everything. So, and I saw passion from JT, like, come on, let's go. I was like, okay, right, this is like an old school match. So yeah, that was probably my favorite moment overall.
Busted out the old school schmo.
I didn't even see that.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, same.
Well,
that's also what this shirt is.
You got the old school.
Yeah, so this is obviously Dan Merle. And then this is obviously also Dan Merle.
And then that in the
middle. And then this is Colossus.
Oh, okay. Glad to clear that up. So Adam Collins goes on this unbelievable tear and ends up winning the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Takes out his running mate, takes out his faction mate and JTE on the last question. I mean, that was just unbelievable, and it was just, I don't know any of these answers, so it was just unreal to me that they just kept pulling them out of their ass. So I'm just like, oh my god, you guys gotta chill. I'm like, is this what it's like when I watch Star Wars with somebody and they're like, can you shut up? I guess as close as I'm gonna get to feeling out of place around here.
Yeah, but these movies are going back even further. How many more movies it is. So I think maybe it's even more potentially in depth, like in terms of like the general, potential questions you can get asked.
I'm excited for next year, where half of the questions are just about Hubie Halloween. That's going to be a real one. Like, what kind of soup does he make?
I was expecting like a Scooby-Doo 2 question to be asked or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been great. Paranorman, Coraline. We all love a spooky Leica.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So that was the tournament. So I don't know if it's the right time to talk about We got this spectacular rota. There's the schedule.
Go ahead,
How's that
sir.
gonna go?
Great transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got it down. I don't know if we can get a shot up or anything, but yeah. So obviously we've got the announcements, who's playing, extra matches, things like that. Obviously, Jericho is playing. What's the lady's name? Sorry,
Brittany Young.
From what's the show called again?
Glow.
Glow.
Glow. That's the Glow or Glee. One of them.
I
yeah.
got you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see Jericho get a
Hey,
match. 'Cause
Boggs, what time are we
definitely
going live tonight?
I don't know, you have to update me every hour in case, because you know, we're doing 3 different time zones here, and the clocks went back in the UK this week, so you know it's a bit confused. And we filmed
By the way,
on 3
Colin,
different
I am
shows
ready
on
for
3
the
different
show.
channels, you know. So give me a chance, you know. But yeah, nice to see Jericho finally get his kind of next match. I think he deserved it. You know, played great. So yeah, obviously Smith and him both playing. So yeah, that would be cool. And obviously now we know the list of matches in the order. Obviously headlined by Collins against Merle.
Yeah, I'm actively searching for the lineup. I believe the other match. Okay, so the lineup is going to be the Star Wars match, teams title, singles title, Inner Geekdom title, the match we just talked about, and Kevin Smith and Brett.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Wildberries.
And Wildberries. No, Wildberries is its own thing. It's its own thing. It's a throwdown.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and get the actual, because there's an order to it. They released the order. 1 second.
Yeah, I was trying to look for that. He put it somewhere. It might be.
Yeah, he did, and he put it in the Facebook group. 1 second.
Yeah, it's impossible to search for anything in this Facebook group because
it's so awkward, isn't it?
It's so weird to look for anything.
1 second.
Live television, folks, nothing like it. But it's just I like the call to bring Brittany back, because when you saw her compete, she was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Right?
she's honestly she's the
smoked
perfect
the
opponent
whole competition
for Chris Jericho, because she's again one of those celebrity guests who actually knows what's going on and has a fun time with it. You know, this is not going to be like a Bachelor off. You know, this is not going to be like if we try to do a wrestling exhibition match. This one is going to be 2 people that are celebrities and are also just, you know, pals of the show and know it's going to be going down. I really enjoyed Brittany's match against Jada Paramo. Took me a second to remember that. And Jada also great. I hope he gets another shot. He is going to get another shot.
Yep. Sorry. I have the running order for Spectacular. Okay, so first match is the Star Wars match. Second match is Jericho against Young. Third match, Shazam against the team tournament winners. Fourth match, Chandra against Chance. Fifth match, Smith against Brett Sheridan. Headlining is Merle v. Collins. That's the order. So me personally, I would have liked to seen the Star Wars match a bit later and have maybe Jericho Young first, or like Smith Sheridan personally. But overall, yeah, pretty happy with that. I'm happy with the singles. Title being the main headliner, because you know that's the creme de la creme, right? But yeah, thoughts on the overall situation? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Leo.
Yeah, keep that on screen, Colin, because I'm really gonna need to make sure I read this to get everything correct. For the Star Wars match, I love Ace. I want him to win, but I also love Alex, and I do think he's going to be the winner, just because Ace did have that momentum carrying him through the tournament. And certainly that's not to say that Ace isn't a good player outside of momentum, but Alex is a little bit more used to the title match environment and also having long stretches of time in between his matches.
Yep.
Between Chris Jericho and Brittany Young, I think this is going to be one of the most even matches of the event. I am going to say Brittany Young, just because I think overall it's going to be that edge of experience. But it's definitely going to be it's probably going to be as close as Jericho versus Kevin Smith was. Shazam versus TBD. I want
Who's
TBD.
Captain
Is that
Tbd?
new? That was
Anyone?
a community reference. Captain Tbd. Yeah, I love Captain Tbd. He was my favorite Star Trek character, and that's as much as I know about Star Trek.
That's
Shazam, maybe. Who knows? Chandra versus Chance. I'm going to give the edge to Chandra. I think because while Chance has some great knowledge, Chandra is going to toss out enough challenges or, rule stipulations to the point where it is going to get in Chance's head. I think Chance is going to ultimately be the kind of competitor who will kind of be the like, come on, man, don't talk about this. I don't want to hear the, rule stickling, which is something that Chandra has gotten into other competitors' heads about. I think that is going to be something that gives Chandra the edge. Smith is going to beat Brett. There's no question about that. And then Merle versus Collins. Dan Merle is the GOAT. But if we remember last year, Merle went up against a rookie sensation and he lost. And Dan almost lost when he went up against Ben Bateman. Like, that was a close match, and he just lost team's belts. But he is going to be coming off the momentum of the team's tournament. Assuming he wins, that's my high voice. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Merle Collins is the one besides Jericho and Brittany that I think is going to be the most even. I kind of don't know, man. I kind of don't know about that one, honestly.
That was a good run through, though. Do you want to go,
Yeah.
Colin, or should I go?
Ace and Alex are gonna be AA batteries and just run for hours, and we might be here. They probably put it at the beginning because they know it might run the longest, and they just want to get rid of it. Because it's just gonna take forever. Jericho and Brittany's gonna be super even. I think Brittany's gonna come out on top of that. Shazam, I think, is gonna lose to whoever comes out of the team's tournament, because if you are Deception and you beat Founding Fathers, or if you are Founding Fathers and you beat Deception, or whatever the team from The Usual Suspects is calling themselves,
Lethal
Weapons, sure. That's you're coming off a high, coming into Spectacular, and I think Shazam might, for the first time, suffer a little ring rust, because it'll be a long time for them to not have played. And I think but they will be sitting there watching the team's tournament the whole time, playing right along with them and testing their knowledge. So it'll be close. I think we're probably going to see one of our first overtime teams championship matches. It'll be that close. Got to go Chance. Going to ride my boy all the way to the end. I think Brett's going to upset Kevin Smith. And I think Adam Collins is going to take the title over Dan Merle. And that's where my head's at right now.
Okay.
All right, Pogs, you're up next. What you got, buddy?
Okay, just rolling my sleeves up. Sorry. Okay.
Someone dropped the ether beat.
So I'm gonna go upset on Star Wars. I'm gonna go Ace. It's gonna be like the fairy tale story. Well, that's what I want to happen. But I do agree with pretty much everything that you said there, John. Like, he's definitely used to championship matches and playing sporadically and things like that. So 100% agree. It's completely almost new ground for Ace, but I do kind of want him. My heart's with Ace there. That run in that tournament, that's the most excited I've been in a digital match. Ace's kind of run and the Star Wars tournament in general. Yeah. So
it'd be great if he won. Like we all love Ace, and it would be incredible to watch him win if he does it. Absolutely.
Jericho, Brittany. I mean, we've seen one match of each. They've both been okay.
2 matches from Brittany.
Who did she play?
She did the Glow match. That's where we found her. The Glow, cast came in and did just regular trivia, and she crushed everyone. And
by the way, great show, Glow. Yeah. If you guys haven't watched
why did it get canceled? Netflix.
Well, we could get into that later, but let's stick with Boggs' picks on this event first.
So I would go Jericho on that one, just because for me that's just a pick 'em. I don't really know too much about either of them, but yeah, I'll just go Jericho for the sake of it. Shazam against TBD. I mean, I'm gonna kind of sit on the fence and say I want to see who they're playing first, because obviously it could be anyone. Chance against Chandra. I mean, this is the match for me. Like, this is what I want to see. I'm like you're saying, John. There's going to be drama. He is going to do all kinds of petty, stupid challenges. Shannon's going to be screaming at him, and like the knowledge is so up there. I mean, it's going to be intense. It both means everything to them. Like, this is the match. I mean, who's going to win right now? I've absolutely got no idea, but yeah, I'll probably sit on the fence on that one for now. Smith against Brett. That's just Smith. I'm not even going to comment too much on that. Collins against Morrill. I mean, right now, as of today, I'm going to go with Collins because of some of the things that you both have said there. That obviously Morrill has got big wins this year, and especially on paper, 2 wins against Ben, Irwin. But yeah, I just think that I don't think, from the top of my head anyway, not many times where a champion has defended and just won all their matches throughout the season. That just doesn't happen, right? If you're in a kind of a good division playing against top competitors, top level competitors, you're going to lose some. It's just it's how kind of sport works, right? So I just think that maybe the stars line up and Collins wins that. So yeah, I just don't think someone can go throughout a whole season having defense after defense after defense. I think they're going to lose at some point. I just think this is kind of Moore's time. So that's my
absolutely.
rundown.
I mean, obviously, calling a big My Hero Academia fan, I can only assume that's Nomu on your hat and flag there in the background. So it is kind of that question of, all right, are we going to see something like a Nomu versus Deku type match? Where it's, the scrappy young upstart going up against the machine built to be an unstoppable object, where unfortunately that fledgling power just isn't enough to take out the top dog, and, Dan Merle just is able to succeed? Or is it going to be the kind of thing where we see Adam Collins be the All Might against Nomu, or the All Might against All-in-One? These are all references exclusively for
all
Collins.
for one.
I said whatever I wanted to say, and it was right.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that is going to be the big match. Like, as close as I do think Jericho and Brittany is going to be, and I think Shazam versus TBD could be close depending on just whom TBD is. But Merle versus Collins, ooh, baby boys.
I think Dan Merle is in a very interesting position. And we'll throw Leo's picks up here for a second. He's got Damon, Jericho, Shazam, Chandra, Smith, Collins. Yeah, right there.
Okay.
I think Dan Merle is, and this is for American sports fans, is he Aaron Rodgers or is he Tom Brady? Aaron Rodgers is just starting in his 30s, right? In terms of football years, as a quarterback, right? As one of the greats. Tom Brady is approaching 40. He's on the wrong side of 40. He's 42. Like he's old. Like, he's old for a player. He's old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Dan reaching the twilight, or is he in the back half of his prime? Two very different situations to be in. And I think it's going to be so. Okay, John, let me put this to you this way: is Dan Endeavor? Is he been great and is going to sustain greatness for an extended period of time, or is he All Might on the downturn and needing the young upstarting heroes to pick him up, to raise him up? But I think what we're going to see here is that Dan Merle is he's faced every wave that this league has thrown at him, from Paul Oyama to Ben Bateman to just the schmoes from Christian, whole different bases of knowledge, and he has gone up against them with a Captain America, I can do this all day attitude. And I'm picking Adam Collins because of his momentum and because of what I've seen of his skill, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of history, but I've been on the wrong side of Dan enough to know that the dude is I'm not going to bet against him. It's like you don't bet against Tom Brady. Like, you just don't. Like, the dude will win. Like, he'll lose you money if you bet against him. And it's just one of those things. It's like death, taxes, and Dan Merle.
I think the real question is, who's the wings of the Schmodown?
I mean, Hawks? Dude.
I gotta go.
Dude, well, I just watched the new movie, though. If you want to talk about that for a second.
I watched it in theaters, but it's been a minute now. It's a good movie.
I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
thought the animation uptick at the beginning with the cars was really cool. I was like, oh wow, you guys paid a lot of money for this car budget. And then you see like a storm cloud at the end, and I was like, oh, there's the budget.
Listen, if you like anime, then My Hero Academia Heroes Rising is an extremely anime movie. Like, especially without giving away the ending. Some of the anime hair and the anime animation that we see at the end of that movie is truly absurd. It
is like, it is, you want to talk about fan service? Boggs, imagine a world where like Star Wars could just like make like what ifs and then just fucking retcon everything that happened in the last hour and a half and just be like, well, wasn't that cool anyways to watch? It's like, imagine if they, I mean, it's pretty much what it is. We watch people do crazy cool shit and then they're like, well, this guy actually doesn't remember anything that just happened. And you're like, what the hell? What's going on?
I mean, if you want to talk about
pros and cons,
yeah. And if you want to talk about fan service, definitely fan service in Christian knowing that he had to let Shannon come on and cut a little baby bit of a promo. And that's me getting us back on track. I'm good at my job.
She's been on fire. Manager of the year right now. Manager of the year. Manager of the year.
I gotta agree.
It's math. It's kind of math at the end here, right? Because if you have, let's see, out of these matches, so Damon versus Andres, that's Roxy versus Winston. Jericho versus Brittany, that's Roxy versus who's Brittany in?
Is it Ken? Yeah, it's Ken at this point. I believe. No, it's not Ken.
I'm
I
sure
think
Leo
it's Kaiser.
Logan.
In the dungeon.
Remember,
Okay,
it's been a minute.
Leo, let us know if you know. Shazam, that's Coy and whoever they play against. So possibly Finstock, possibly right now. Finstock has one appearance, and then let's see, we got two from Winston, 1, 2, possibly 3 from Shannon. I mean, and 2 guaranteed for Roxy. That's, I mean, and possibly 3 depending on the team's tournament because you can get the odd couple sneaking in there. You could also get an extra Winston pick. Brittany is with Kaiser. Awesome. Okay. So, like, Kaiser's lucky he's at the show. I'm being real honest.
I think that's probably
Kaiser's
why.
lucky to be here. I mean, that is a bone. That is a bone throw.
Is he the only one? Oh no, Kate's not going, is she? I was thinking
Kate's going because she's got Brett. Yeah,
Kate's got Brett.
Oh yeah. So I think it was a way to invite all the managers to Spectacular, probably.
That makes sense.
Which is sweet. I'm good with that.
Cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, it really is, I think, overall still between Winston and Shannon for Manager of the Year. And it's looking more and more like Shannon's got it in the bag with each, I mean, especially just with the fact that, like, Collins has truly been cleaning up. But then when you also go, like, okay, well, Mark Edward Hoyk also just put in that work for the Horror Free4All. We got to remember, it feels like ages ago now, but that Inner Geekdom tournament, that was exclusively Corruption's game as well. And like Laura Kelly, she didn't win the Star Wars tournament, but she made it to the semifinals, and she did a dang good job on her way there.
So I think what you're saying equals out. Like if you want to like mathematically look at it, right? I always like to mention how like scoring, if you're doing like a fantasy NCAA tournament, works. Where if you pick a team to go all the way, then you have a certain amount of points that you can earn. Because then they'll only be able to attain that amount of points, right? Shannon and Winston have the max amount of points that they can possibly win. Finstock has to have things fall into place. Like how many, like now let's relook at this at how many belts each team can possibly come away with here. That's Roxy is looking at a possible 2-belt situation. The odd couple is Jeff Snyder is pissed right now. And I don't want to play them if I'm anyone. I don't want to play the odd couple right now. At least, not at least until the finals if you're founding fathers, because you just feel confident about yourselves. But looking at it from a number basis, like Shannon has it to go 1, 2, 3 possible belts. Shannon could legitimately walk away with a team's belt, a singles belt, and an Inner Geekdom belt. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. And we haven't seen possible points like this ever. We haven't, possibly, the factions, but like we haven't seen like just this widespread success in the league in a really long time. Like the Finstock Exchange has been so dominant. The players in it have been the dominant players of the league in general. Outside of Paulo Yama and Ethan Irwin for the singles division, it's a whole new world. It is truly anyone's game, and Winston still has a shot at the same time, Box.
Yeah, so just to summarize what you're saying, I think so. With Shannon, like she's a triple threat. What I mean by that is she's probably already going to win the league in terms of they're already so far ahead and they've got so many more matches to play. They're winning tournaments, so the 1 free-for-all, call that a tournament. Obviously, the one singles, one inner geekdom, and they're going to win titles as well. So that's hard to deny. Yeah, obviously, on paper she has a stronger team than Swag, so that's why he's kind of as hyped up as manager of the year, because he's got only one kind of former champion and one elite player, and he's done so great with all these guys, particularly Ace and stuff, and Chandra. But I think Shannon's can still, like, what really can Swag do at the minute in terms of across the three things? Can they win the league? Maybe not. Can they win tournaments? Maybe. Okay, they're only left in they've already won Star Wars, to be fair, and they're only left in teams, and titles. How many can they win? Okay, they can win 2, so they are kind of even. But whoever kind of has the most kind of points or statistics, or like you say, mathematically can do the most across the 3 divisions, will win manager of the year for me anyway. So so they're both kind of across 3 kind of things there. It's whoever gets the most kind of wins across the 3 platforms that I've said there. But yeah, that's it's exciting going into Spectacular. It's anyone's game, and I can't wait.
I think it's
except for Finstock, who straight up admitted on a match that he's like, yeah, anyone who votes for me is a fool.
Right.
He just took himself out. He took himself to the
too far behind. Like you're saying, Colin, as well, like they have to win pretty much every match they have remaining, and other teams have to lose. So it's just too much things going in their favor. Have to go in their favor.
By the way, who are the 4 people that voted for MVP? Can I get a list of names? Who are these MVP voters?
It was me voters? 4 times. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you guys.
Can we all get in on this list?
Interest.
What list?
Pressed?
What list are you talking about?
The MVP, because I guess they had the MVP. Christian said at the end of the match, he's like, we have 4 voters, and they've all voted that it's going to be Hoyt. And
I stopped it. Right. I didn't.
Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. So I'm like, are those the judges? Are those the people that are always there? Interesting. I just would like to know, because we get to know who votes for like NBA finals.
Oh, are you not familiar with the silent ones?
Oh, no.
I thought you were a big schmuck. I thought you'd been watching since season 1. I've only been watching since season 5, and even I know about the silent ones.
I mean, the 4 people that nobody knows their existence.
That's right. They each have 2 eyes amongst the 4 of them. None of them have a mouth. It's sort of like what's going on with Nick Fury in the Marvel comic universe right now, where he's technically kind of like new Uatu. It's a whole thing.
So I'm going to say something pretty controversial, and I don't think it's going to go over very well. I'm voting for Shannon Barney as manager of the year, but I'd still rather play for Winston.
That's fair. I thought you were going to say something controversial about Marvel Comics.
No, that's fine.
What about life?
Yeah, sure. But I for me, it's when I look at like what manager that I've been most impressed with this year, it's Winston. It's been what he's been able to accomplish, and I can say that. But at the same time, somebody else in my brain is like, dude, well, she did the same thing with Adam Collins. Like, it's kind of the same things that I have respect for Winston for, I have respect for Shannon. But it feels like Winston, like Bog says, doing more with less. But I feel like their rosters are more even than we give them credit for. They're just highlights in different areas. Like Paul and Lon are nothing to spit at. And they have aces in it. You got
Chandra,
right? Like Liz, like this is
they're stacked as well.
Right, stacked, like it's stacked. So I mean, I think it's fair to say that he's been able to bring out something in some of these competitors that I don't even think these competitors knew was there. I believe Adam Collins knew he was a champion, and I believe it was just somebody pushing him about, just giving him the right nudge, and it was Shannon's nudge. And I think that came from, Adam being a fan of Mike and the way that Mike and Chance play. And I would have a hard time not going there too. If Shannon came knocking on my door and was like, hey, want to become part of corruption? I'd be like, yo, yes,
Well, and I think a big part of the thing that we have to think about here is if we're talking about how Winston is maybe the guy we'd most want to grab a beer with, is the fact that I would say, and I don't know if this is a hot take, I guess I'll find out once I say it, is that not only is Shannon in contention for Manager of the Year, I'd also argue Shannon is in contention for Heel of the Year. And maybe that's a part of why some feelings might be like, oh, I like Winston more because he's the hero. You know what I mean? And I think that's something where, you know, part of the reason why we've all been rooting behind the players that Dagnino has in his stable is because it's Dan Merle, it's John Roca, it's the heroes. We love those boys. Ben Bateman didn't get to be a part of the Horsemen until he'd left the heel antics of Team Action behind. And now we're seeing one of the dominant factions be some of the bad guys. Yes, we'd seen it before in Mike Kalinowski in Corruption. Obviously, he's always... or no, not always, but in the past couple years, been a bit of a heel. But even then, part of the reason why we were kind of rooting for him is because he would then be immediately countered by a Rachel Cushing or a Mara Kanopik, who falls on that hero side of the spectrum. So I think that's part of it, is that now that we have this faction war, we also have a little bit of a very kind of clear dichotomy of hero versus villain. Because I would say, aside from Chandra, there's never really been a clear villainous side of Winston, and that's part of what makes specifically the conflict between Winston and Shannon so gosh dang exciting, because both Winston and Shannon are incredibly good at what they do.
And some people think that, like, I just don't see Chandra as much of a heel as some people do, and I understand why, but it's not to the extent that some like are. No,
not since what Chandra said to Chance at the end of Chance's
straight
last
after his match. As
are
Chance
you
was like emotional.
Me, like that's the
Chance
kind of stuff where I'm like,
oh,
that's gonna be a Mara Kanopik, Mike Kalinowski, where like outside of the Schmodown, Chandra just caused beef. Like I watched that and I was like, oh no, he's actually gonna get the real people mad at him. I honestly like, even as someone that knows like it's all Schmodown, I watched that and I was just like, actually, yikes, dude.
Matt Thomas
like
said,
Chandra,
he's not 100% a heel.
My roommate's dog Peanut.
I was salivating, John. I was salivating.
I was like, yikes. Like, I was like, no, dude. You're going to get actual people knocking on your door with a baseball bat. You know what I mean? I was like, no, dude, beyond games, beyond Schmodown, people might come to actually hurt you. And I don't know if I can stand by you on that one, man. Like, I love Winston, too. Don't get me wrong. But
that's how. But
Matt
that's
Thomas,
why,
you get it. You get it, Matt. What's up, Matt? How you doing, buddy?
That's
What's
how
up?
far he's willing to take it, though. That's how kind of he's putting it on the line. You know, that's what he's willing to have the whole community turn on him to get under someone's skin, to get under the people's skin for the entertainment, you know, and still play and still know his answers and still win. So, I mean, that's a lot of boxes you're ticking here as a player, as an overall player. I completely understand what you're saying, John. Like, but he knows what he's doing. He's such a smart individual. I believe he's
literally a rocket scientist.
Yeah,
he's literally a rocket scientist.
Yeah, so he knows damn well what he's doing. Yeah, so I do love the character side of it.
I do have to call out Ben Bateman though, Boggs. I know you watched Backstage.
This week I haven't, to be honest.
Okay, well, Chandra was on there. I've
seen the
big problem with Ben Bateman taking a shot at somebody who became successful following in the footsteps of Ben Bateman.
Yeah.
Like, Ben thinks that Chandra was cheeky and he's a heel, and they can be some backstage.
Oh, Smets' boy, isn't he? So
it's you know, he can put on a face, you know, he can put on whatever it is. But the way he goes after him is so petty.
I've seen it before. I've seen it before.
It's so unwarranted. It's just like, dude, you did the same stuff, man. That's like the pot calling the kettle black. Like, just stop, bro. Like, just stop.
I mean, again, I think that's part of that's part of why my like sensors in the back of my head start tingling, where I'm just like, oh, remember when Kevin Smets was talking about Chandra? Like, no, outside of this game, I don't like you, bro. And that's where I go like,
right. These are the consequences of doing the heel stuff and behaving like that. You know, people will personally not like you. People will go, you know, out of their way to, you know, criticize you and things like that, you know, but that's the way, that's the path he's chosen, basically. That's the character he decided to go down. I personally absolutely love it. Yeah, people absolutely hate him, want to tear, go after him in real life and stuff. Like, but that for me, that shows like, that just shows how much you love the game and how much you're willing to put the character on the line. Like that's just for me.
You're never gonna hear that from us.
Great entertainment.
Like we used to look up your Twitter handle before basketball games in high school, and we'd talk about that English test you failed last week and give you a really hard time about it when you were on the free throw line. So, no holding back
about that, man. Listen, the antics I could I was never a sports guy. The antics I could tell you about my high school, about what they got into with each other over football matches is absolutely absurd. I'm mostly just here to say I like it when people like each other. Call me corny. Maybe that's why I still have my Disney Plus subscription, but I like it when people get along. What can I say? I like it when people are happy. And one thing that makes me happy is hanging out with the two of you. Huh? Look at that. I'm never going to go Chandra on you guys. I promise you that. Have we had a good show today? Matt, Leo, what do you guys think? Was this a good show? Was Matt the free-for-all good? What did you guys think?
We've seen Hannah on a less successful scale this year try to do the heel thing, which which I get it. But, and then where is he? But I ate PB for Brandon Hannah.
Well, and the only person that really seemed like they actually wanted to find Brandon in real life and smack him around was dear old Saul. And Saul's someone that we unfortunately have not been able to see a lot of, despite having, again, I hope he knows this, a good inner geekdom match for sure, especially as someone that was not coming in as an inner geekdom player. So Saul, wherever you are, hey, good job, bud. You got a nice beard.
Quite respectable. That's what this year has been. We've seen respect show in places we didn't know it was going to be. We've seen talent come from everywhere, from fan leagues, from just longtime fans of the league. And now we've seen like this lineup is unbelievable. We got Chris Jericho and Kevin Smith in separate matches. It's crazy. And I mean, there's going to be I have a feeling that Colin might be a little pissy at the end of it when it's like, oh, these matches sucked. Look how bad those two matches were. Every other match was great. Why are we doing this celebrity stuff? I know why we're doing the celebrity stuff. I know. But it has like the potential to, be not as great. That's kind of
Colin performance. I mean, I'm looking at this Matt Thomas comment. I don't know. What can we expect from Colin, huh?
Well, tonight at 8:30 in the next 15 minutes on the Really Trivia Showdown, you can see me doing asking questions for the first time on the internet, where we got a bit of an interesting match that might leave you a bit confused on who's competing, but it harkens back to an old Schmodown event that I truly enjoyed. So look for that in Really Trivia Showdown, and look for me and Boggs on the Really Trivia Showdown.
Yeah, I mean, if it starts at 8:30, that sounds like the perfect thing to check out after going to twitch.tv/John Barr and checking out PM Triers' creepy storytime stream happening today at 7:30 PST. Famous children's author PM Triers doing a little bit of live storytelling with some live guests, doing some improvised scary stories. Matt Thomas says your match is next week, so fuck me, huh?
No.
This is why they
Our
call me the
matches
cup
are
of
next
the
week.
showdown.
My commentating match is tonight in the next 15 minutes. 15 minutes from now. So then plenty of time to watch that match.
I didn't need to call myself a cup on
match.
the internet, is what you're saying. I didn't need to say it.
You're fine. You're good.
Well, at least I'm wearing a normal hat while I said it. Because imagine if I was wearing a ridiculous hat when I said that. Then that would really be a bad look for me.
It would.
Huh? So
you know what a good look is?
Do that.
You know what a good look is? Ending the show. So that's it, folks, for the Ultimate Throwdown show. All of us here are so excited. We are in a bit of aggressive expansion mode over here. You got Boggs and I are now doing We Have the High Ground, which has dropped 3 episodes this week. We reviewed the first and second half of The Mandalorian Season 1. And then today at 4:15 Eastern, we dropped Season 2, Episode 1 review, which Boggs had the hottest take. He said this is the best episode of The Mandalorian yet. And John, all will say is it learns lessons of what what the good parts of The Mandalorian was last season and somehow fit all those good parts into one episode. So if you're a fan of the good stuff of The Mandalorian season 1, I really think you're going to enjoy season 2. And I really hope that you join us every single Friday for We Have the High Ground over on Pop Culture Universe, which we are so excited to be a part of over there. And
thank you so much to Sean, our producer, who is the main brains behind that channel. A wonderful human being. Please,
I feel like I've been I feel like I was like acquired, but as like a free agent by a larger team, and now I you know, it's like I don't know what we're gonna do. Boggs and I are just having so much fun. We got some cool graphics. Hey John, you want to see the graphics real quick?
I'd love to see the graphics.
You want to see the graphics? The graphics are awesome.
Oh, stop it! It's too much. This is We Have the High. No. Okay, let me not do the show. But yeah, John, definitely. For me, like the Mandalorian season 2. I obviously haven't seen it yet. I don't want to spoil it, but it felt like a movie, like a Star Wars movie. Just
it's not 28 minutes. It's like a full 48. It's like a 49-minute episode of television. It's fantastic.
It's so good, so much fun. Gives you the feels, the Star Wars feels that. Well, obviously you don't.
I mean, I get the Star Wars feel from the original trilogy. Don't get it twisted. I love the original trilogy.
Y'all seen the video of the cat? You know the TikTok cat where it bobs its head at everything. When they play the Mandalorian music and the TikTok cat bobs its head, that's me.
I don't know about this much about TikTok. Not about that much.
That's my jam. So that's it, folks. We'll be back. I mean, what are we schmo-downing next week? Does anybody even know what's happening next week?
I believe next week, because November 2nd is, if I'm not mistaken, the start of the teams tournament.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
we're going to be talking about that.
Monday, yeah.
Monday is the start of the teams tournament. So we could be in line for 2 episodes next week, possibly a Thursday recording and a Friday recording. So we'll see what the schedule holds. We might just do a Friday, Saturday show. We'll see what the week holds as well. So we'll play it by ear. You know where to find us. I'm at _C Morris. John's at John Bar Tweets. Boggs at Boggs. You know where to find the show. At TUSS Pod. And this has been the Ultimate Schmodown Show. We'll catch you next time. Bye. Let's get ready to schmodown.
Follow Pop Culture Universe as well on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Follow that Pop Culture Universe. It's lit. Bye.